Varuna.
Mandalam 1, Suktam 25B. Rishi,
Shunah Shepa Ajigirti.
Devata,
Varuna.
Chandas, Gayatri. Mandalam 1, Suktam 25, Rik.
12. He, having perfect thoughts, Mitra the Aditya, at all times, everywhere, made us, by good way, navigated our lives forward. The incorrigible mortal perspective. Where there is a Varuna, there is also a Mitra, the bad cop and the good cop. From the incorrigible mortal perspective, that is incurably inclined to subterfuge for self-promotion. It is this propensity of mortals that makes them turn to Mitra rather than Varuna, to root their petitions for grace bestowal or grant of pardon for omissions committed, as Shunahashepa did to escape death, in the legend narrated in the first verse of an earlier Suktam. Mitra cheerfully obliges, perhaps to keep his image untarnished, but also aware that if there is deceit involved in the petitions, the deception can never escape the stern gaze of Varuna, and the culprit will be appropriately punished. Both Mitra and Varuna conceivably think that this way they can make a culprit dig his own grave, and so save themselves, the immortals, from that mundane effort. Personifications and metaphors have a role to fulfill in the understanding of the organization and workings of a scheme as complex as that of the universe. They act as an anchor to ensure that we do not drift away into meaningless superstitions when wading through a maze of obscure abstractions. An anchor that makes us to engage with such abstractions on the basis of our mundane experiences. It also makes us to hold a mirror to ourselves, to see our unreasonably biased behavior starkly exhibiting our inherent deceit that can be seen in the fact that certain gods are more frequently worshipped than others, though all play equally important roles in making the universe work as it does, all being avatars of the one manifest supreme.
Mandalam 1, Suktam 25, Rik.
13.
बिभ्रद्राविम् हिरण्ययम् वरुणो वस्तनिर्निजम् परिस्पशो निषेदिने.
Varuna, possessing golden garment, puts on a shiny robe. Beholders have sat everywhere. gold, truth, and nobility. Though the ignorant indulge in the folly of being partisan about acknowledging gods according to their perspective on which of the gods are beneficial and which are not, seers bestowed with divine vision and hearing see and hear the truth that they represent. Seers visualize Varuna as wearing golden garments because of the nobility of his work upholding truth. We see the metaphor of gold being used for expressing nobility based on the human practice of considering gold as wealth. The consideration of both nobility and wealth as gold is in turn based on the fact that it is the least reactive metal, resisting oxidation and corrosion, which are also the traits of truth that can never be corroded. So is gold associated with the wealth of truth and its nobility. This makes Varuna himself a representative of these two qualities, as he is visualized as the ruler of waters that flow through every region, carrying truth and making mortals live according to their tenets, as well as appraise their adherence to these tenets. The verse further states that the seers referred to as beholders, from whichever viewpoint they perceived Varuna, his nobility shone forth like gold. Guess such a description will suit every immortal because every one of them is an avatar of the manifest supreme. But it is only fair that in a verse compilation dedicated to Varuna, he should be the one whose traits are specified in glowing terms and is to be extolled the most.
Mandalam 1, Suktam 25, Rik.
14.
अयम् दित्सन्ति दित्सवो न द्रुह्वानो जनानाम् न देवमभिमादयः.
Those who cannot cheat or be deceptive, those who not hurt people, are those not inimical to divinity. Sin, the mover of existence. Human perception of crime is more society-centric and changes with time according to the prevailing social environment. What is crime today may not be one 50 years hence and may not have been one 50 years earlier. Also, the same act committed in two different societies at the same time may be regarded as a crime in one and not so in the other. Penalty leviable for a crime committed to is decided according to the standard criminal codes formulated by societies and that are applicable to members of that society alone. Sins, on the other hand, are defined to be those acts that go against natural laws that make the universe tick. Any act that is seen to be an impediment of truth is considered a sin, and an act that advances it a virtue. However, it is a fact that change, which is the driving force of universal progression, is primarily caused by sin. The change so caused becomes the new norm and is sustained by virtue until a new sin happens to come by. This alternation between sin and virtue is yet another expression of the script of the universe. Vedic thought projects this universal arrangement upon human society as a whole to proclaim that being deceptive, hurting other mortals, and being inimical to divinities, read as being inimical to truth, are sins that cannot escape the scrutiny of Varuna and will certainly attract penalties. Societies further interpret the listed sins according to the prevailing environment and perceptions in them, and call them crimes. Crime and probity too then become expressions of the script of the universe. Perhaps the Sanskritam phrase Sambhavami Yuge Yuge is a reflection of this notion of alternation between sin and virtue.
Mandalam 1, Suktam 25, Rik.
15.
उतयो मानुषेष्वायसश्चक्रे असाम्या अस्माकमुदरेष्वा.
Besides, he who verily made in humans completely worthy, verily in interiors of all of us. Is existence a simulation? The theme of this verse is a reassertion of the notion that every activity in existence is neither by chance nor choice, but by design. The tilt of a leaf, the flutter of a wing, the surge of a wave, or the bliss and glory of seeking truth are all expressions of change by design that could not have been any other way but thus. All is attributable to the script of existence and to the concept of a creator or the manifest supreme who would have drafted it. The natural forces that cause these expressions at the behest of the supreme reside within all mortals and act according to the script. If this were to be true, as it pretty much seems to, then are we living in a simulation? Is the universe and everything not what it seems to be? If existence is indeed a simulation, then, going by currently known technology of this era, a simulation of this proportion would be an impossibility. This is because of the maximum speed limit known to physics is the speed of light, and today science cannot explain the reason for this limit. To make a simulator that can process transactions spanning the immensity of the universe, it would be required to have hardware circuits that transmit information at speeds infinitely greater. Perhaps the Supreme Consciousness is such a simulator, creator or God as it may also be designated. The elevation or transcendence of mortal seers, characters in the simulation, is the plug-in feature bestowed on these characters by the expression of simulation to be able to access it in totality rather than locally, as it is for the rest of the characters. The decision about which among the zillions of characters in play are selected for this privilege is perhaps decided by the starting seed that initiates the automaton.
Mandalam 1, Suktam 25, Rik.
16.
परामेयन्ति भीतयोगा भो न गव्योतीरनो इच्छन्तीरुरुचक्षसम्.
My thoughts wander away like cows towards pastures, desirous of far seeing. The illusion of reality. Cows, or repositories of truth, wander away towards pastures to satiate their hunger in order to be able to express themselves as milk or truth providers. As the Vedas articulate truths about existence, Vedic composers wander away in their thoughts in a similar manner in search of far-seeing Varuna, who is the main repository of universal truths, hungry for its bestowal, to be able to hear, see, and compose those bestowed truths as metered and intonated hymns for its preservation and dissemination across time. If existence were to be a simulation, it makes existence an illusion or maya. Perhaps this was the view too of Adi Shankara, the proponent of Advaita philosophy. The Vedas then become a product of this simulator, describing the logic involved in the simulation of this existential play, and the cows, pastures, Vedic composers, and Varuna, characters in it. The simulated play is witnessed by the creator, the immortals, and those characters within the play called seers, who have been bestowed the special privilege of being able to plug into a device in the simulation that enables them to access its logic and so indirectly understand the mind of the creator. Good and bad, love and hatred, sin and virtue, and all such dichotomies are merely ephemeral expressions that maneuver the narrative of the simulation along its multiple logical pathways between two singular nodes designated as creation and dissolution.
Mandalam 1, Suktam 25, Rik.
17.
तन्नवाचामहै पुनर्यतो मे मध्वाभृतम् भूते रक्षदसे प्रियम्.
Now again, let both of us narrate from where we both brought for me lighted honey, priest presenting oblation consumes. Imagined operating stations of immortals. The reassertion of the notion of existence by design continues in this verse from the two previous ones. As Varuna is said to dwell in our minds, he is privy to all our thoughts and also becomes the presenter of oblations in our sacrificial activities. He is further aware of the source of the bliss, as sweet as honey, that we derive from such activities among them that are beneficial to all, and so declared by him in his far-seeing wisdom. Narrating this happening is to exhort others to mimic their endeavor so that they derive bliss. Also, a narrative of a mortal, if endorsed by an immortal, certainly carries more importance and relevance. One might recall the same epithet, Hota, was used for Agni as well in earlier hymns. This expression reasserts another related notion that though immortals are categorized on their functionalities and accordingly personified, every immortal displays functions of all other immortals within their own. So, an epithet used for one applies equally well to any other. The stations they occupy for the discharge of their duties, however, are different. While Varuna is the presenter of oblation within our minds, Agni does so from within the sacrificial altar.
Mandalam 1, Suktam 25, Rik.
18.
दर्शम् न विश्वदर्शकम् दर्शम् रथमधिक्रमी एताजोषतमे गिराः.
I would like to see now the all-seeing, I would like to see chariot from above on the ground. He was satisfied with these my invocations. Varuna's abode deep down in the oceans. For earthbound humans, the flowing truth carrier that they are well aware of and which they consider wealth is water. With it available abundantly in the oceans, this body of water is considered Varuna's abode, where he rides his chariot on the ocean floor, requiring humans to view him from above on the ground. This visualization of Varuna is to signify the depth and abundance of his knowledge and wisdom. That he makes himself visible only upon being satisfied with human invocations is an indication that humans need to understand the manner in which Varuna appraises human activities and dispenses justice from a universal perspective. Having this perspective makes humans align their activities with truth that leads to stability and balance in the universe in general and on earth in particular. Varuna considers adherence to truth to be the true invocation made in his favor and figuratively appears before humans to bestow his blessings. This is perhaps quite an obtuse narrative, but put together with the least common denominator of intelligence and applicable to humans of all ages. The essentiality is that its purport is understood and people strive to live truth.
Mandalam 1, Suktam 25, Rik.
19.
इमं मे वरुणश्रुधीहवामत्या च मृळय वामभस्युराचाके.
Do hear this my call now, Varuna, and do be gentle. Desirer of assistance verily wishes for you. A lesson in humility. The verse is a humble call to Varuna, the activity appraiser, to be gentle in his normally stringent and meticulous mode of appraisal from one who considers himself an initiate to the business of adherence to truth, and so prone to commit mistakes that are attributable to being ignorant about the nuances involved in this practice. This is also a lesson to real initiates in transactional conduct in general, as the composer of this verse, being a seer himself, is no greenhorn at this exercise. The emphasis on humility has more to do with the spirit of self-abnegation, recognition of hierarchies in the universal social order, and devotion to protocols of interactive comportment that must accompany this expression. Also, as has been repeatedly underscored, whether it be a seer or an initiate, Varuna's grace, read, being mentioned as one in the script of existence, is a necessary condition for any mortal to be able to transact in any manner with the environment. This verse, first mentioned in the Rigveda, has found its way into regular rendition in routine spiritual practice too.
Mandalam 1, Suktam 25, Rik.
20.
त्वं विश्वस्य मेधिरदिवश्चग्मश्च राजसि सयामानि प्रतिश्रुधि.
one who is wise. You are at the head of everything, of heaven and of earth. He does here upon arrival. Another lesson in humility. The phrase upon arrival refers to a social construct that is accentuated upon in Vedic thought for general conduct. Natural forces, represented by the gods, exist everywhere in the universe, in the heaven above and the earth that sustains and shelters us. They need not arrive anywhere, and dwelling as they do within ourselves, neither do they need to be called. They read our thoughts, or rather, they formulate and make us express our thoughts. This too, like the previous verse, is more a lesson in social behavior. Whether it be an immortal or mortal, who is partly an immortal too, with immortals residing inside all mortals as well, to make them be what they are, the protocol of an invite in humbleness is required to be followed for any acknowledgement, for an invite is exactly that, an acknowledgement of the importance of the one invited in our lives. It is also part of the protocol to be around in their service when they arrive, even if notionally, until they depart, in actuality or in conception. This practice makes us perceive existence in a light that makes living a pleasure and makes the society of mortals harmonious.
Mandalam 1, Suktam 25, Rik.
21.
उत्तमम् बुद्धिनो विपासम् मध्यमम् श्रेत अवाधमानी जीवसे.
Do loosen the upper rope upward from us, middle. Do unbind lower downward, that we live. The two thematic views of existence. There can be two views on the theme of this verse, as it is customary in duality. It can be understood in terms of the absolute supremacy of truth, where adherence to truth or untruth are the choices available to mortals, while in the other, it is the script of the universe that has absolute supremacy, with adherence or abhorrence of truth being different denominations of the transactional currency that makes the script to express itself. In the first thematic view, mortals have the choice of themselves loosening or untying the three ropes: responsibility, ability, and inevitability, read conviction, that bind them to existential conduct. In one, some mortals strive to untie these cords themselves, resorting to falsehood and deceit, facing consequences, while some others extol, worship, and invoke immortals to untie the ropes, delivering them from bondage to freedom. In the other, the script decides the behavior of every mortal, in the simulation or in reality, as one would want to consider existence. Since all activities are preordained, there is no requirement for an active and value-determining currency, as everything has equal value or is valueless. Those whose cords are to be untied are identified scripturally and are made available the means to become notionally free, even though the possibility of notions like bondage and freedom having any real meaning is moot. If you found this video informative and relevant, please like and share it. If you would like to see more such videos in this ongoing series, please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you for viewing.